Imagine yourself in a room full of 15 pre-K students, ages 4 to 5, and maybe some 3-year-olds. Let's say there's a little boy named Timmy who is sitting next to a little girl named Lily. Lily took something from Timmy. Let's say it's a paintbrush, because that's what the activity was that they were doing at the time. And Timmy decides, you know what, I'm going to hit Lily. Our go-to response as an educator, and maybe just as an adult in centers all over, is to remove Timmy from that situation and give him a timeout and tell him to sit in a corner and think about what it is that he did. In order for timeouts to actually work, children like Timmy need to first have the capacity to understand what it is they did wrong and be shown what is right. Now, if this isn't done, let's say Timmy, every time Timmy acts up or does something, he gets a timeout, whether it's at home or even in the classroom. Timmy's all over. They don't understand what it is they're doing wrong, and they need to be shown in a calm setting what is right. According to the National Association for the Education of Young Children, the NAEYC, timeouts are only appropriate as a last resort for a child who is harming another or is in danger of harming his or herself. So in the situation of Timmy hitting Lily, yes, that's true, but let's say this happens every time Timmy acts up. Let's say this happens every single day, inside the classroom and outside of the classroom. Timmy's all over. They need to be shown what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. And they need to know that there's a place or a space that they can go, so when these negative and challenging behaviors start arising, they can recognize it within themselves. That's self-regulation. That's what we should be teaching if we want to have children grow up to be productive members of society, rather than sitting in a corner and thinking about what it is they've done when they don't have the capacity to understand what it is that they've done. Professionals like Kaiser and Rosminski state that timeouts are misused and overused and have been the topic of debate in the education community. And this is true. This is all over. The center that I worked at, I got into kind of a debate with a fellow aide who had been there prior to me working there. She didn't like that I was using time away as an alternative method. She was using timeouts, and apparently that had just been working. And I didn't agree with it, because what is the child actually learning? My argument about that was that the timeouts that they were imposing on children were more for the adults. They didn't want to deal with the child, so they sent him into a corner and told them to think about what it is they've done. Is a timeout for a child or is a timeout for an adult? We need to be clear. They teach children it's acceptable to use power to control other people, and that's true. In the case like Timmy, go into this corner. Go away, I don't want you here. According to Gonzalez and Mena, that's what it feels like to a child. This is harmful. And this is what children are growing up with. Timeouts should not be humiliating or make a child feel threatened or afraid, but instead, everywhere in centers and daycares all over, they're used as a form of punishment for a child. And they should only be used as a short-term and a last resort. It shouldn't just be, oh, you're acting up, go away. That's not fair. A child needs to be, all children, it could be part of a lesson plan. Have like a calm down space, a calm down kit of some sort, that when they're having these appropriate behaviors, they know, okay, when my emotions start building up and they're negative, this is where I can go and this is what I can twiddle around with or something, rather than taking out their aggression on a fellow child or even an adult in there. Professionals Katz and McClellan tell us that timeouts make children angry, resentful, and defiant. And that's true, because a lot of times they don't understand what it is they're doing wrong, and they're going to keep acting out and doing what's wrong because they're not being shown what is right. And a lot of times it seems like when we try to teach what is right versus what is wrong, it's done when challenging behaviors have already arisen, when they should already have been done prior to that. They damage a child's self-esteem, they don't address the cause of the challenging behaviors, and they fail to teach appropriate behavior. Timeouts undermine a child's sense of safety and interfere with learning and moral judgment, and this is by Cohn. another professional. They increase distrust and harm the relationship between adult and child because that child isn't being shown by the adult what is wrong and what they're doing wrong. So my takeaway of this is time away is an alternative. Everyone in the education community, whether they're against or for timeouts, all agree that time away behooves a child's development. And it gives everyone a chance to regroup, and children can recognize their emotions, and all while the activity can continue. And when the child feels ready to return, they can return. Adults should be calm, respectful, and not angry and not punishing. This is by 2 other professionals, Warshoff and Rappaport. All in all, time away teaches self-regulation, which is a skill that we as adults, we have. And by having a child know that there's a safe place they can go to and have a calm down kit there, this will benefit the child. Children have to first understand what they did was wrong so that they can be productive members of society and in the classroom or even at home, because this can happen at home too. Thank you.